Welcome back to another episode of the Top 6. Lots of transfer rumours to talk about tonight. Man United's new and second bid for Frenkie de Jong. Their pursuit of the Brazilian Antony, with his representatives reportedly travelling from Brazil to Europe, Amsterdam, where they are right now. We'll be delving into that story. Arsenal's bid for Victor Osimhen. We're going to look at that. Are they really looking at him? There's a big report this afternoon that Arsenal won't buy now before they sell, which has come from Charles Watts. We're going to be taking a little look at Arsenal. We're going to be having a bit of a net spend debate as well today, because Liverpool fans are talking net spend. They're being bantered. They're being ridiculed for spending. So we're going to get into a conversation around spending, net spend, and are Liverpool right, wrong to do this? Or I'm going to get to the bottom of the argument, as it were. And we're going to be comparing the two new imports into the Premier League, Erling Haaland and Darwin Nunez. Of course, after the brilliant and the majestic Erling Haaland officially become a Manchester City player today, I believe exactly 20 years or 25 years after his father signed the exact same date, or very family orientated at that traditional club of Manchester City. So lots to talk about today. Brilliant panel on also. Daniel's back with us, looking great. Dan Lawless is here, who's got a lot to say about people chasing his Bowen and he's Declan Rice. Alan joins us here today. Spurs fresh after signing Ivan Perisic, chasing a little bit of Bastoni, bit of an Italian job going on down there. And I do know, by the way, that Perisic is Croatian, but he's been playing in Italy. That is what I mean. Young Tom Little is here. He's here to tell us how great Darwin Nunez is and how he's going to outscore Haaland. That's coming later on the show, people. And of course, by popular demand, as always, man like Neeks, royalty of the football terrace, back again. Hair looking slick as well. Well, looking good. Looking good. Fresh trim. Fresh trim. I'm looking forward to getting my cut and getting it out soon. I think I might do the 5-month reveal pretty soon. Get it out. Hairline looking thick and strong. Viewers, make sure you're smashing those like buttons and those share buttons. But I think there's no other place to start tonight. We will go into the debate a little bit later. But Haaland signs, big deal, £63 million. One of the best strikers, up-and-coming strikers in Europe. How are we all feeling as rivals now that it's actually done and he's walked through the door?
Listen, it's a problem. There's nothing when you actually deep it. Like, it's all when you see him there, he's in the City shirt, and you're actually thinking, damn, he's actually going to be playing against everyone in the league. And at the same time, it's like 2 goals a game he's scoring for Norway over in the Nations League. He does that over. He's scoring a goal a game in the Bundesliga, a goal a game in the Champions League. Like, it's actually a problem. And on top of that, City's already just won 4 and 5. So you're looking at it like, what really can the competition do to close the gap that they haven't been able to close in 4 out of the last 5 years? It's a problem. It's a problem.
Injuries? No, I mean, if they can keep him fit, then the league is done for. Manchester City score the most goals every year anyway. Then adding someone... They're replacing 8-goal-a-season Gabriel Jesus with minimum 30-goal-a-season Haaland. Like, if he can stay fit throughout the entire year, it's done for the league. But he's got dodgy knees, he's got dodgy hamstring, he's got dodgy legs, basically.
Dodgy legs.
He's just got dodgy legs. They're not exactly... I don't think he's played 30 games in a season yet. And he's been around for a fair while now. He scored goals, and he will score goals in that Man City team. God forbid the amount of back post tap-ins he's going to score. He'll have found every way to score them come the end of the season. But it's just about whether he can be fit when they need him most.
I think that's like hopeful thinking from a lot of Liverpool fans.
Very much so.
Slightly, which you could see that, but they can only get so much better offensively, innit? Like, he's a big upgrade. He doesn't have a striker, but it's their defense that they really need to patch up, because you see some of them games where, you know what I mean, we played them, you know, obviously Bowen, we're going to talk about, you know, scored 2 past them, like Real Madrid games, you know, where you've seen them try to just outscore the opposition, and in the end, you know what I mean, their defense let them down. So that's where they really need to strengthen before people say, oh, they're invincible and no one can stop them, for me.
I think, look, as much as I hear that, I do disagree with that a little bit, because it's about 6 games in the season, maybe, where they might struggle, 6-7 games in the season where they struggle to score. And given that that is the margin of error between Man City and Liverpool in terms of who wins the title. How many games do you slip up in, and how many games can the other team catch up in? Look, it's going to be Man City, Liverpool fighting for the title next season again, regardless of what anyone thinks. That's just let's just get that out of the way. But the big question is, and I think this should be discussed, and it is a conversation that needs to be had. The fact that, I mean, I'm not going to, other people are going to say fraud watch and whatnot. Like, I'm going to leave other people to do that for me. But it's a big, like, question mark on his legacy, Pep Guardiola, the fact that he hasn't won the Champions League yet with a side other than Barcelona or other than Messi, having Messi, Xavi, Iniesta and whatnot. So I think now that he's bought this big money name, he's got his star man, Haaland probably the next after Mbappe. Haaland's the next biggest thing if you talk about a player in world football. I think it's a big thing if Pep isn't able to capture the Champions League, and it's not even like the Champions League is the be all and end all. It's not, but it's the fact that we understand that the project was to win the Champions League. The Champions League is needed, and I said that considering who they've lost to and who they've gone out to, how different is the project to PSG? Because PSG practically win their title year in, year out, and they put all their resources into trying to win the Champions League. The only difference is Man City's one is more coherent. You know the structure. You know who the manager is going to be the next season. Whilst PSG try and chop and change every single year.
If anything, it's harder for PSG to win it because they run so poorly.
Exactly.
Man City's got the
you see what I'm saying? So
situation. Just before Alan comes, I just want to say quickly is that it's only a stain on Pep Guardiola's legacy for people who, after probably 3 years, wanted to put him up there with Sir Alex Ferguson as the greatest manager of all time. A lot of people have crowned him already, and if he doesn't win the third with someone else, then it's a stain on that. For someone like me who hasn't put him as the first, I know it's hard to win Champions Leagues. So if he wins 2 with Messi, Xavi, and Iniesta, I say well done.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Just to clarify, it is. Sorry, Terry. Just to clarify, it's a well done. It's great for him. I'm just saying, considering the teams that he's been with, so Bayern Munich and Man City, it's not about, you know how we say that everyone says, how can Alex Ferguson not have won more Champions Leagues? But it's not a coincidence that there's only been like a handful of people who have won a certain amount of Champions Leagues. I'm just saying Pep has been in a fortunate situation more than any other manager, and he's had to try different scenarios more than any other manager.
Yeah,
so
and still may not end up with more
with the 4, exactly.
Yeah, like with 3 or 4. And you know, when Jose Mourinho won his 2 very early on in his career, really, everybody expected 3 and 4 to follow. I don't think he's ever going to win one again. That's it now. 2's done. He ain't. He might take over PSG. They're speaking about. I can't see it myself, but I don't think he'll manage a team that's capable of winning the Champions League again. I think he's past that now. On Haaland, though, I said it this morning when it was announced. I keep hearing this. There's this weird logic in football when a player that scores a lot of goals arrives, and people just say things like, "Well, he's not going to score. Like City won't become that much better because he'll just take goals off of other people." And I think it's the biggest fallacy that exists in football. People did that when Bruno started scoring. Oh, he's just taking goals from other people. The system enables him to be the final piece of the jigsaw. Well, one Man United didn't have a system according to those same people, but it wasn't as though he took goals off any of the midfielders that weren't scoring goals. Haaland will take some of the goals away from other people because he's going to be in their positions, as it were. But Haaland has the ability to score 10 to 15 goals a season that you don't expect in that very moment. He'll have the ball in an acute angle and you think, okay, what's he going to do? And he'll shimmy, bang, power, bottom corner goal. Only a handful of strikers, Harry Kane being one, Lewandowski being another, actually have the capability of doing that on a very, very regular basis. It's why they are the best, and it's why they are so expensive when it comes to buying them. And of course, 63 million is cheap because of the buyout clause. This is a massive move, and I think we're going to get later in the show, people. We're going to kind of debate who's going to do better between him and Darwin Nunez. But this is why Liverpool have gone and spent 60 odd million up front. It's going to rise very quickly to 77 million pound after the clause we revealed. Basically, after 60 appearances, the fee jumps up to like 77 million. Liverpool have responded because they know without a prolific goal scorer now in their team, they are not winning the league. It's as simple. It's not even a dig at Liverpool. It's just the level now that and position that Man City have put themselves in. It's a phenomenal signing for me. It is, and the fact that we get a player that's tipped to go on to, him and Mbappe are tipped to be the next Messi and Ronaldo in terms of rivalry, not ability. The fact that he's in the Premier League, I think, is a good thing for the overall league, but it's a bad thing for us as rivals because they're going to be so hard to catch. But viewers, I want your thoughts and I want your feelings. We're going to move on to that debate a little bit later. Another story that's come up today that I wanted to speak about. I want to go to Neeks first on this. This story came out a little while ago stating that Man United are expected to make an improved bid for Frenkie de Jong. We're all waiting for this second bid. It's kind of been spoke about a lot that United are going to make it. But he said that it's going to fall short of the 70 million valuation, with United determined not to be sort of not being forced into overpaying for a player. What's your take on this story in the sense of, do you think it's right that Man United are trying to pay the right price? Or are you worried that we're just wasting time on this signing when we could be focusing elsewhere? Like, what's your take on it as a United fan?
In theory, I don't have an issue with it. As Man United fans, we complain that we overpay for players and undersell our own players. And then in the next breath, we complain that we're trying to negotiate a price down. We can't have it both ways. Now, a couple of summers ago, we obviously tried to get Sancho. They wanted near enough 100 million. We didn't buy him, and a year later we got him for 70 million or somewhere along those figures. Now, yes, if we had him for the year previously, maybe last season would have been better because he had a year of adjustment X, Y, Z. But we praise other teams for either walking away from deals. Pep Guardiola walked away from the Harry Maguire deal because they didn't want to pay 80 million. They bought Ruben Diaz the next summer for 65. So we can't, in one breath, praise other teams for doing what we're then criticizing Man United for. And we're criticizing Man United because, we understand how bad we've been run. So every decision, whether it's to overpay or to walk away, gets criticized because we just don't trust the process. But to use that terrible phrase,
that's why my eyebrows raised.
But we can't be in the same but hypocritical to our own belief. We believe that the club should be driving down the price, then stick to it, regardless of who those are in charge. When it comes to Frenkie de Jong, Barcelona need the money as it stands. Now, things could change in terms of CVC deals and all that kind of those rights or whatever. And maybe if we put up 70 million 2 weeks ago, maybe he might have been here already. I don't know. He might still have to decide whether he wanted to join Man United or not. That was one of the bigger issues. But I don't have a problem with trying to negotiate a fee down, because there comes a point. I think I said this even last summer. Maybe the summer before, there comes a point that we just need to draw a line in the sand and say we are not going to be taken for mugs in this market anymore. Man City don't get taken for mugs. Liverpool don't get taken for mugs. And even Real Madrid, as much as they pay that because that's what they want to pay, not because a team is overpaying. They say, we're going to pay Camavinga 30 million, Tchouameni 60, 70, 80 million or whatever. But they pay what they're willing to pay as opposed to where everyone else is beck and call. That can't continue anymore.
You don't with that. You don't see, like, if Liverpool have a target and find them out as price range, they just move on to another one. It's almost like United get stuck on the names at times. So they'll see a big name central midfielder appear on the market, and the club are asking for 40 million. And then there's another midfielder who probably doesn't have the big name, doesn't have the shirt sale potential for 20, but would do just as good a job in that role with potential to grow and all that. But United have a very commercialised view, in my opinion, wrongly, because you should be focusing about what's on the football pitch first and then everything else will follow. But that's the way United are run. Frenkie de Jong isn't that. Frenkie de Jong will be a good pickup for you, especially under a manager who he played his best football under, and he'd almost be trying to probably find himself again, because I know he's done okay at Barca, but he hasn't hit where he wanted to hit. If he had, Barca wouldn't be selling him. So it should be interesting to work out. But United, I don't know how you're going to be not taken for mugs when you've got them owners who are focused on the shirt sales first.
So it's not just that. I mean, like, Man United have many problems they've got to try and sort out in this transfer window. So for me, you have to get your business done quick and effectively and efficiently. Sorry, and I don't think you're doing it at the moment. So De Jong is one of them players that Ten Hag's worked with before, trusts him, knows him, how he wants to play and all that. I think it's one of them where, with certain players as well, who's got that potential, you have to spend a bit more on to then, then basically claw it back elsewhere. I don't think you can hang around on big name signings who want to come to Man United with all the problems you've had in recent seasons. I don't think you can wait too long to get deals like this done. I think you have to bite the bullet and go a little bit more early on to then recuperate later on in the transfer market.
I disagree.
I don't think so.
I was going to say quick, because the problem with that, Alan, is that if we spend, let's say we just put 80 million De Jong 2 weeks ago, every other deal comes, they're going to put that premium on. So the deals that are not the marquee ones, timber, they're going to put another 10 million. Oh, Man United splashing the cash this summer. They're not shy to pay, and that's the problem we've been in for the last 10 years. We get overcharged for everyone, whether or not they're good or bad.
Okay, so how much is he worth? How much is he worth, and how much are you putting forward? How much are they asking for?
Apparently, according to that tweet, 70 million.
So they're asking for 70 million, and how much are you willing? How much have you offered so far?
I'm not 100%
So
sure.
the bids that we're sort of talking, again, it varies upon the publication, but it's around, we're about 10 million shy of their asking price.
Look at Liverpool. Look at Liverpool. Sorry, Daniel. Liverpool went and got Darwin Nunez, but in about a few days before, when we thought the deal was agreed at 68 million, they did a bit of negotiation to get their initial fee down to 64. Now, at the time, in that 24-hour period, Liverpool felt, oh, why are you doing that? Just go and get it done. Liverpool have a reason why they said, well, we don't want to pay that amount up front. We're going to want to pay a bit less, because that's just the way they did it. And it's like, as I said, it's about being hypocritical or not. You either want your club to be run that way, or you don't. And if you don't, then cool. Don't complain when we are being charged and then that player doesn't live up to the price tag, because he was never worth that in the first place. That's the way I see it.
think the reason why I disagree, though, is it's just a little bit of semantics and overcomplicating football for me. Like, I think there's some topics, and this being one of them, where, like, of course there's a discussion and a debate to be had, but when you really get to the crux of what we're talking about, you want the best players that suit the manager that you currently have to ensure that you have success on the pitch, to then ultimately increase whatever you're trying to increase in terms of revenue and try to be the greatest and whatever. Like, for me, Frenkie de Jong can even go to the last day of the season, as long as the last day of the transfer window, as long as that is the player that Ten Hag has identified and said that he wants. And if you're struggling in terms of price and you know that you can get it down and you can wait for that to go down, then you can. I think you can, as long as you know you're going to get that player, then I think you can wait. I don't believe in this notion that, because obviously, fair enough. Look, 100% at Liverpool, outstanding business the last couple of years in terms of the players that they've been able to bring in and how quickly they've been able to do a number of their business, and how kind of quietly, like, suddenly they're interested in this player, they want him, they get him. But for me, like, not every club has the luxury to be able to do that. You see teams. Kunde is the perfect example, and just a little bit. Everyone's seen the story around that, but one of the biggest things is that Sevilla just know that Chelsea have more money, so they just really want to hold out for a higher fee because they know that they can, and they know that Chelsea might want to do that. Do you know what I mean? So not everyone has that same luxury.
I agree, but just want to say, Alan, as well, I think what this echoes into is a separate story. There's a separate story that's kind of connected to this, why we're talking about it, as opposed to the transfer deals in themselves. So there's talk about an Antony bid. There's lots of big speak about him today. His entourage have arrived back in Europe and this type of thing. But what this kind of centers around is a story that I think Tom McDermott and Phil Brown, very, very prominent in the Man United space, have both said today separately at different times, that Man United are now going to drop their focus on a number 9. They and Ten Hag wanted Darwin Nunez. That deal was impossible. So instead of settling for something they don't want, they're going to move on to strengthening other key areas of the pitch. Antony being one on the right-hand side. Of course, they're looking to bring people into the midfield, into defence. And for me, as much as I want Frenkie de Jong done, and I don't want us to drag it out too long, and I don't want us to end up... If, for instance, suddenly Man City start to show a real genuine interest and we're 8-9 million shy, then there's a part of me that thinks pay it, because we might end up losing out on him. But at the same time, there's certain things we're doing, and it's very early stages, but it's how we should be run. The way Man City last summer didn't miss out on Harry Kane and then just go and buy some random number 9 to fill the void that they're now stuck paying 200 grand a week to. They waited. They went, okay, well, wait. They went and won a league. They waited, and now they've gone and got Haaland. Liverpool have done this on a regular basis where we can't get a number 1, number 2 target. Let's wait. We won't strengthen that position. We'll wait until January. We'll wait until the summer. And I think that kind of approach from Man United is really, really key because we've hemorrhaged hundreds of millions of pounds in transfer fees and even more in wages in the last 9 years by rushing into so many of these deals. And some of the time, it's not even buying the wrong player. If you end up paying £15 million too much for everybody and selling everybody for £10 million too much, that's £20 million every sale and purchase that you're hemorrhaging. At some point, you run out of money. At some point, you can't buy someone, you can't renew a contract. And I think that is what United need to get right this summer.
I can understand that to a point. But what I'm saying is Liverpool, Man City have been putting off signings that they don't actually need because they've been in a position to do that, where they've been so well run, the team's built, and they've been in a position like that. Man United have caused their own mess with the way you've been run for years and now trying to change. I understand that. And you want to basically not overpay. But like I just said, it's just that one sign. I'm not saying you have to go and because Barcelona need the money. Barcelona will ask for that money. You know, you can push them in the wrong direction to be like, well, you're taking the mick, you're taking the time. We want this. You're not coming anywhere near us. So the deal's off, and they might turn away and not take it, or just go elsewhere, or see if they can offload elsewhere. You might run that risk if you don't.
You do run that risk, but I think this is where, again, I don't know if you've seen this, Neeks, as a United fan, but the last sort of 24 hours, I've seen all the negative Nancy's come back out. I'm seeing people having Ollie debates in spaces again. They're ranting. All the negative people have come out again. These idiots honestly believe one summer in United are going to be in their brain. They don't think, they believe that's what should happen. One summer and it's fixed. It's going to take 2 or 3 years to fix Man United. And I've said it all along. What we do on the pitch is a manifestation of what we do off of it. And I hear your point, but there's this part of me that thinks we end up missing out on somebody because they're trying to exploit the price out of us. If we keep saying yes to that price, we're never going to drive the price down.
Yeah, Terry, you literally took the words out of my mouth.
You stop at some point.
Yeah.
So who's in charge of that, though, at your club? Like,
John Myrtle now. John Myrtle now.
Because there's got to be a state where you just back Ten Hag and what Ten Hag wants, like really and truly. And as fans, that you got to try and just, obviously it's going to be blind faith, but have faith in Ten Hag. And Man United have to listen to him and say, look, what do you want? Do you want us to listen? If we spend 70 mil, this is the budget. Are you confident that there'll be enough budget left for you to go and get your other targets? That's what's there. That's what's available.
But this is it, Dan. This is exactly like we know who we're run by. So we can have this fantasy where we've got unlimited cash. Man United should be spending more than we actually do based on what we earn, or should have the ability to, rather. But because the Glazers are who they are, they would say, for example, you got 150 million to spend on new players. And then you have to say, yeah, well, Ten Hag, if you want Frenkie de Jong for 80 million, the money's there. But it means there's only 60 million left to spend on what else you want. And between him and the director of football, they have to decide whether the risk of only being able to buy maybe 2 players as opposed to 4 players is worth it to overspend on De Jong. And for me, I'm in a position now where it's not about free hits and those kind of things that them not do down in North London. No, we're not talking about Alan here. But so next season, Man United is always pressure on us, always pressure on the manager. But I'm willing to forego instant success for long-term success. I don't want a quick fix anymore. I don't want spend big, try and win a couple cups just so we can say, oh, we won a few trophies in the last 5 years, and then we're back in the same position in a few years' time. We need to build from now. And as Terry said, if that means we miss out on Frenkie de Jong, because between Murta and Ten Hag, they say no, the money's better spent elsewhere. But it means that in 3, 4, 5 years' time, we're in a better position to attack the market and get the players we want and challenge on the pitch. Then it's something that, frankly, Man United fans are going to have to live with, because until the Glazers are gone, those are the constraints of the managing.
But
Yeah.
don't you think, Neeks, that lots of clubs know the desperate situation Man United's in?
So we
you're gonna find
need
this
to prove that we're not in that desperate situation. We need to walk.
But
away
we all
from
know
certain
you are,
deals.
though. Like, because imagine
What-
you went into
can't
the new
you can't
season
disprove
with
that.
no
Anyone with a
signing.
football brain knows the situation you're in.
But we're not-
The way I
we're
see
not-
it,
we're not- sorry to say that we're not in a desperate situation. Though. Financially, we're very strong.
No, but team-wise,
No, but yeah,
if
but
you don't strengthen, I think you're screwed.
I still think you're kind of just missing the point.
Okay.
The reason we're in this position, forget the team. You know, you play the longer game on that. What's put us in a bad position is people often have a go at me because they say, "How can you hate the Glazers when they've spent what they've spent?" I never question what they've spent. Let's take away the debt, the holes in the roof, what they do with us on the stock market. Let's put all that aside. Let's look at just the running of the club. I've never questioned how much they've spent. We spent more than City. I've questioned on who they've allowed to make the decisions around what and who we spend on and why. That's what we need to get better at because it's if you overspend now and you hemorrhage, it's when you end up not being able to renew the contracts you want. You miss out on the opportunity of buying a player because the club's in a mess. And the amount of times there's been opportunities, Haaland's a great example. If Man United over the last 3 years really were getting better and we were in title contention, I know he's got the family connection, but that would have been a deal we would have had a real genuine chance of getting because the power of the club is there. But the problem is when you do it the way we've been doing it, every 18 months you end up in a situation we're in now where you've got this squad that isn't good enough with lots of players that don't want to be there, new managers coming in. There's no consistency. You can't build anything in that. And that for me is more important than just getting the star names now because the team needs to be better now. We have to think longer term because that kind of instant gratification is just that literally was the word of Ed Woodward, if that makes sense. But I was about to move on to something else for a second there until that came in. There's a super chat here that says, the United fan base literally is confusing as F. We rip the board for overspending and wasting the budget, and then we criticize the board for not overspending like people need to make up their damn minds. If Myrtle and Matt Judge facing similar problems of negotiations, is the Glazers micromanaged transfer or Myrtle or Matt Judge not good in negotiations? Well, I think I wouldn't say that we're actually struggling in negotiations as such. You've got to remember the reason this has taken 4 to 5 weeks is United has spent a lot of that time getting the player to agree first. And then you move, the player agrees, then the clubs negotiate. It's very rarely the other way around. When it's the other way around, it's when you get moments like today where Vlahovic says, I had no idea about an Arsenal offer. Of course he didn't, because they got the bid accepted by Fiorentina, but the agent told Arsenal no. So the player didn't speak to anyone. You do it the other way around. You get the player to say yes, then you start talking to the football club. Man United and Barca have only been in direct contact for about like a week and a half. The only person, by the way, that's in the mud with all this Man United stories would actually be Fabrizio that said Man United will 100% sign a striker this summer. That's that I'm sure someone's going to find that quote and throw it at him. So he's getting a lot of stick at the minute is Fabrizio Romano. But viewers tuning in, what do you think Manchester United should do? Spend the money, be prudent and keep negotiating. What's your thought? I mean, I've seen a lot of people say that he's only basically a faster version of Ward-Prowse. He's not even that good. So I get confused with fan opinion when it comes to this sometimes. But Man United looking at the Frenkie de Jong second bid. They're also looking at a bid for Antony instead of a number 9 striker. And we are going to talk Arsenal. We are going to talk West Ham. We've got the big Nunez Haaland debate coming up. And we're going to talk a little bit of net spend as well. Is that wrong, though, Daniel? Are Man United wrong to not go and buy a number 9?
Let me answer that question first. Are they wrong? No. And to be honest, actually, do you know what? I'm allowed to. I don't support Man United. I think I can sit on the fence in terms of it actually depends on what you're doing. I don't know what you're doing. It depends on what the plan is. It depends on what Ten Hag sees the future in his eyes. A lot of it depends on how you want to shape everything. Look, you look at Liverpool, and obviously they've got a structure in place, but I believe that Klopp has a huge influence and a huge say in what happens and who comes into the squad or not. Pep Guardiola has the same thing with that. We're seeing in Chelsea's situation, the stories come out that apparently Tuchel's going to have all the say over transfers, so there's going to be none of that. These aren't Tuchel's players, or Tuchel's didn't say, like, there's going to be no question about that because of what has been reported, because it's all going to be in his eyeline. So the same thing goes for Ten Hag. Depends on what Ten Hag thinks. Does he think that Ronaldo is someone that he wants to start week in, week out for him in the league. Obviously, you're in the Europa League, so you're in a lesser competition. So maybe take the group stages a little bit lightly. I don't know what his plan is in regards to that. We've obviously got the Rashford situation, and whether he can get Rashford back firing, whether Rashford is a striker or whether Rashford is a winger. We don't know how Ten Hag sees him. I do think you might need to get an attacker of some sorts because of obviously Greenwood, and I mean we don't know what's going to happen in that situation as well. So yeah, I just think there's a lot of unanswered things when it comes to Manchester United, and it really, really depends on how Ten Hag and the club, what direction they want to take you in. And I think the best thing to do is, even if you can't get everyone, sort out your either your defense, sort out whether you want this goalkeeper long term. Pep Guardiola came in, showed balls straight away. He said, Joe Hart's not my guy. It's like, yeah, I don't want this guy. I need someone else. And even though Claudio Bravo didn't work, it was the next goalkeeper that worked. I need to see that kind of balls and that kind of that cojones by Ten Hag. I need to see that kind of like, yeah, I'm the guy in charge, and then we can see that and then going forward. But the question I had to the United fans, so you and Neeks, is that what were we talking about just before? De Jong, is there any situation where in your eyes you walk away from this deal? Or do you have to get him this summer?
Look, I think your previous point about the striker kind of answers it. If it hinders other areas of the pitch and there's other midfielders we could buy. So let's say, for instance, we don't spend 80 million on him, but we ended up, and I'm going to throw two names, we ended up with Basuma and Neves for a combined amount of 65 million, then I'm okay with it. Does that make sense? Because I think their quality as an example. It's about the overall plan. Same as the striker situation. I would rather wait for the right number 9 and improve the right-hand side of the attack. There's been talk, and again, I know the detractors of these players as United fans hate this, but 3 or 4 reports from very prominent journalists in the past week, now by Charlotte Danker, I think her name is, talking about Ten Hag has expressed this in interviews, like sort of to the press, not ones that he's given out publicly, that he is really focused on trying to improve some of the underperformers. And I know this is going to trigger the Johnnies, I know it's going to trigger the Rants, I know it's going to trigger the Saids, and I big up those guys, good content creators. But he is very much wanting, he loves the idea of playing with Marcus Rashford. He thinks Marcus Rashford, he can get back to his very, very best. And even if people don't rate Rashford, if Rashford starts performing to at least Ollie's peak level when he was, that's 20 plus goals a season, fact. So you can make up those goals and make up those. There are still some very good players in this Man United team that just fell by the wayside. Rashford, Donny van der Beek, who's coming back, Bruno Fernandes, who just faded with everything else that was going on. So I think Frenkie de Jong is a signing I would love to happen because he is an outstanding player. But to Neeks' point, if we signed him, but it ended up damaging 2 or 3 other signings later on down the line, could that not be cutting off your nose to spite your face? For me, it's a case of let's do what Ten Hag and the new team running the club want, because for the first time in 9 years, we've got football people making the football decisions. We haven't had this, and that's what I'm intrigued to see what happens, really.
From an outside looking in, I just think you've got more problem positions than striker. The striker market this window now isn't exactly free flowing now. The 2 that had the most rumours about them are gone. And I know that there was reports that Erik Ten Hag really wanted Nunez. Maybe this is a situation where you go, no, I only wanted a type of player like him. There isn't another one available, so we'll wait it out. You've got positions that need addressing quicker than a striker. As much as Ronaldo's old, that's still a guaranteed 15, 20 goals a season. Marcus Rashford, you've got Anthony Martial coming back. I'm sure you can cover that area with other players, not to a high level, but you can cover it. You can't cover centre-back. You cannot cover defensive midfield. You cannot cover full-back. And your goalkeeping situation is iffy at best. They're the priority positions that you need to make sure.
Scotty back can be a centre-back. He can be a DM. He can do that. But listen, viewers, we want your take on what's going on at Manchester United. Got a big Haaland Nunez debate to come. We're going to speak net spend as well, because Liverpool are getting a lot of stick for spending 65/77 million/85 million, depending on what report you want to read on him. A lot of people tagging me today in Simon Jordan saying net spend. I still don't believe net spend exists. Just because he's saying it. I know he's an ex-club owner. But I'd love to have a conversation with him. Did you actually the wages do matter. But aside from that, we are going to speak Liverpool net spend a bit later. But I wanted to touch on Arsenal a little bit, boys, because they've had a bid. This just seems weird to me, this report. Could be true, might be untrue, but it says here they've had a bid, 51 million rejected for the Napoli striker. At the same time, Jesus is available for 42 million. So I don't get why they're putting this bid in if it is indeed true. But one of the biggest bits that came out today from Charles Watts, trusted Arsenal journalist, unless you're Lee Gunner don't like any of them, right? Has stated that Arsenal are looking, and I'm actually going to go to my own reply to this because I want to make sure, sometimes I want to make sure that I'm not misrepresenting what was said here. Let me just go because I replied to it earlier. I haven't had a reply to my reply because they didn't like it. But it says here that according to Charles Watts, there is a sense inside Arsenal that they want to make sales, know how much cash they can generate before kicking on and buying players in the summer transfer window. And I see smiles from people that, like, my first thought was this. These men went on after that good run of like 3 months winning games. The Cronkies have turned the corner. The Cronkies are great owners. Surely, if this is true, they've got to sell before they buy at this critical moment in their their growth and development. Surely they could be hanging their manager out to dry. Like, what's everyone's take? I mean, you got the weird bid for Osimhen. They're not going in hard enough yet for Jesus. Is that maybe because they're just kind of dipping their toe in until they sell players? What do you think is going on with Arsenal?
I'm confused by the fact that they've bid for two different types of strikers. Gabriel Jesus and Osimhen do not play the same style. You could argue that they're similar players, but Jesus likes to drop in. Osimhen likes to run in behind. Osimhen's a lot more physical than Gabriel Jesus. I don't know what they're trying to do. I don't know what they want up front. Like, at this point, Arsenal are if what they're doing is waiting until they've generated money, they're seriously running a risk of cutting themselves off from top four because every other club around them is not doing that.
Money from who? Who they selling?
Exactly.
Who's who? What, they selling Saka? Who are they earning money from? Who are they selling?
Saka.
Maybe Saliba. Maybe
Saka.
Xhaka, Pepe. They can get some money for Pepe.
They've still got the Aubameyang wages. They've still got the Aubameyang wages they saved. Don't worry. They've still got the Aubameyang wages.
I'll ask this question. I would love to know who they're selling.
No, but seriously though, look, at the end, what it comes down to is, look, Osimhen obviously is my guy in it, and obviously I've watched Osimhen extensively. Obviously, Nigeria as well. He's better than Jesus, isn't it?
You're Nigerian.
Yeah.
For your English, bro. I swear. See,
oh, I thought he said is Osimhen Nigerian.
No, I've seen you moaning about the England squad and everything. No, I'm only joking.
Terry's Irish as well, by the way, and he doesn't.
Irish and French. You know, I am biracial. I'm biracial.
No, Osimhen's good, but I don't. Yeah, he's obviously he's got the clunkiness to him as well. So, Arsenal are strange, innit? Like, Arsenal are a strange club. They do their thing and hold tight their minute. We'll see how it goes. But the question I have for Arsenal, and obviously there's no Arsenal fan on the panel, so I guess we just have to answer it. Is what is the ceiling though for Arsenal as a team, like under Arteta and with the players that they've got? Because sometimes I look at their transfer targets and think, oh, okay, do you know what? That's a bit of a good signing to come into this team. Then you just end up seeing that the player either doesn't come or doesn't live up to expectations. So, what is the ceiling for Arsenal? Like, what can you expect for Arsenal next season and in the coming years?
I think they've hit their ceiling really under Arteta. I don't think they're going any further than that. I mean, this process that they're trying to do and all that, it looks like from what they're linked with, they don't know what they're doing. Or it could be that with Sterling, the names like Sterling, Jesus and Zinchenko, they're just basically going after Pep's cast-offs from Man City. Now he's done with them, like for theirs, like following Pep from when he was a coach, like number 2. It just doesn't seem like they have any plans on what they want to do. I think when you've got a young striker like that coming in, like potentially coming from Napoli as well, you've got a manager that I don't think can elevate him anymore because I think Arteta's at his peak now because he's like new to the manager. So I don't think he's going to get much more out of any new strikers, especially with the new youngster they brought in as well, Marquinhos. He's young as well. I think they do need to buy experienced players to help them because I think they may struggle, especially playing Thursday night as well next season. I don't think you'll see them kick on from fifth. I think you'll see them regress.
I want to circle to Terry's question real quick. Sorry, man. I was gonna.
Yeah, no, because I wanted to come to you next, Dan, because obviously there's a big rumor over the weekend that they are going to come in for Bowen. And I saw your tweet, so I wanted to bring it up today, where there was a lot of gooners saying like he would absolutely love, like he would chomp at the bit to swap Arsenal for West Ham at this point, which you vehemently disagree with.
Yeah, that is absolutely ridiculous. Like they're so not all of them, because I know some down to earth ones, but a lot of them are seriously deluded that they think that they're in a position where, you know, someone like Bowen, who's been linked with Liverpool, who, you know, I did a show with Grizz Khan the other day, who told me that Liverpool are seriously interested in him and they see him as potentially the guy after Salah goes to come in and, you know, fill that role. So why is it that that's what Liverpool insiders are saying? But anyway, well, why is it that he's going to go to Arsenal? Like if he's going to leave West Ham, he's going to want to take a bigger leap and go to a more reputable club, because yes, Arsenal have history, but players don't move to clubs for history anymore. They move to clubs for the future. What can I achieve in the future? Do you think he's going to go to flipping Moyes and go, Moyes, I'm handing a transfer request. Arsenal want me. The another thing they were saying was, oh yeah, good squad player, be good backup, good to come off the bench. It's like, who do you think you are? Like, realistically, like you scraped, fifth. You got fifth last season. Sorry, you just fallen short of the top four, and because you had no Europe, and now all of a sudden you think you're these big heavy hitters again, and you're Champions League, and we can go around and take all of these top players from the teams in and around us. No, like he needs to. If Bowen leaves, he's gonna want to go to a club that is a serious level up. Okay, so I'm at West Ham. I'm in and around them European places. Where's the next improvement from there? Well, a club challenging, or a club playing in the Champions League consistently. That's where you go and it's a level up. If he goes to Arsenal, what is he really achieving at Arsenal that is this big step up? So I just think their fans are deluded and arrogant. Can warm the bench.
So Dan, you think that West Ham and Arsenal are the same level?
I know. What I'm saying is, from a transfer perspective, I'm saying it's not that big of a jump that's worth going to leave. Unless
Arsenal aren't going to offer anything new. Bowen has played Europa League football this season, so he's not like getting a new experience at a new level of football. So what is the attraction? He plays in a big stadium as is.
They'd have to pay him crazy money. That's it. It'd be like, here, we're going to triple your salary. That's it. And I think with them, quickly just touch on Terry's original question. I think they had a Europa League budget and a Champions League budget. They thought they was going to be playing with the Champions League budget. Now they're playing with the Europa League budget. They're seeing, can we get to that Champions League budget through sales? And they're damn sure they're talking about £35 million for Bowen. Impossible. What are they smoking? Impossible. £35 million.
We were quoted 60. We were told 60 million or nothing.
Yeah, but this is Arsenal, because Arsenal are
you ain't got to pull. That's all right.
I think it is. Well, I think you're pulling a great point there. There was Champions League budget versus Europa League budget. There was that first of all, and we'll get on to what Arsenal fans should be demanding here. I kind of feel like this is someone in the comments to tell you why are you quoting fifth tier sources. It's not about the fifth tier. I mean, Charles Watts is not a fifth tier source, is he? Like he's the guy that said this point. Whether or not you've bid for Victor Osimhen or not, I don't care. We obviously know that the European press don't do the semantics that the English press do. If you speak to an intermediary and go, would 50 million be enough for Victor? In Europe, I go, that's a bid, bruv. You're putting in an offer. Over here, it's like, well, no, it actually went through an intermediary, so it's not really an official bid. No real football fans care about the semantics. We really don't. It's boring, right? But whether it bid for Victor Osimhen or not, it doesn't matter. It literally is irrelevant to this conversation. I'm just sort of sharing it as Arsenal news. I don't think Arsenal are looking per se to sell before they buy. I think this is them spinning a line because what the likes of Ben Jacobs and what the likes of nearly every other single journalist who speaks about Arsenal has said is true. Players like Yuri Tillemans, players like Gabriel Jesus are interested in Arsenal because they are Arsenal Football Club, and the product is pretty good. They improved last year, and if all those players joined, if Tillemans and Saliba comes back in and Gabriel Jesus goes in and starts scoring goals, Arsenal will be, in my opinion, a better team than last year. But those players are sitting on the fence and waiting. Well, let's just wait a minute to see who else might come in for me. I think that's Arsenal's journalists don't want to come out and say that. That's why when journalists that are non-Arsenal specific get cooked by gooners when they come out and say those things. Well, no, our journalists aren't saying that. Well, of course they're not. You haven't got the stomach to handle that truth. That just like Man United, players are umming and ahhing about whether to join us. Man United were much further along the line for Darwin Nunez. They had personal terms tied up. It was getting closer. The player was really interested in joining. And then Liverpool made their move. As soon as Liverpool made their move, bang, that head was turned. Listen, guys, thank you very much. I like the offer, but I'm off down the road a bit. And I'm a Man United fan, and I can accept it. Why? Because I understand reality. I understand reality and where we are right now. I'm not pained by that news. I'm pained by how we're run. And I think Gooners, listen, I think Arsenal could still have a very good summer. I think that they need to buy experience more than youngsters. They need those 24 to 27-year-olds to come in and improve that core strength, because I think another year of Saka and Martinelli being told to run the show, I think could burn those players out. It really, really could. So I think
quite soon Arsenal are going to be in competition with Newcastle to be able to get older players. I think Newcastle will start pulling. Bruno Gomes is one. I think they're both after Savic as well. What's his name? I can't never pronounce it. Milenko Savic or something like that. They're both after him they're after him as well. I can see Newcastle with the money and all that being a more profitable proposition for players in the near future than Arsenal, because I don't think they're going anywhere under Arteta.
Mate, I give it a week before the Danny Ings links start up again, and they start talking about bringing Danny Ings to the Emirates.
I think Arsenal can sign these players, but I really think it matters who else comes in. I think if Chelsea went all out and said to Gabriel Jesus, you will be our main number 9, like not bit part player, you will be the guy to replace Lukaku. I don't understand why he picks Arsenal over Chelsea. That's not a dig at Arsenal. The same as if Frenkie de Jong's happy to join us and City come in and go, you are going to be our main new midfielder. You're going to play regularly. You're the guy. Why is he picking us? He isn't. He's going to go. So he has no loyalty. He didn't grow up a Man United fan. His dad didn't play for the club or nothing like that. There is a question here, though, for you, Dan. That says 35 million for Bowen is fair. What do you want for him?
How is that fair? Like, especially now he's just just becoming into England international. I don't think that's like probably about 10 mil more than we paid for him, 10, 15 mil more than we paid him. So I said to a Liverpool fan at the moment, probably between that 60 to 80 range, probably around 60-ish is probably like what we would look again. And I don't want to keep saying this same thing, right? But we do not want to sell Bowen. I said this with Rice, because we get into this. How much do you want? And then I say a price, and everyone starts crying. Yeah, we don't want to sell the guy. We don't have to sell the guy. We can throw on 200 mil if we want, because we don't want to sell him. But 200
mil.
No, but I'm saying no. But you don't.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? Like I can say a billion, because I don't want you to pay it. I don't want you to buy it. But if you pay this ridiculous fee, that's what will make me want to part with him, right? So when I say 60 to 80, that's the price that I think West Ham would be willing to listen to. Because if you're coming with 35, why should we take 35? What? Because you want to pay that, because you're comfortable with paying that. When we don't want to sell, we ain't sitting out here going, "Someone please buy Bowen."
Dan, just to clarify as well, how much is Rice as well for you?
So, Rice is what they're asking for is over 100 mil, so 120 or something. That's what West Ham are willing to sell Rice at. But again,
how much do you think Rice is worth?
Yeah, but this is this question, right?
No, it's just your opinion.
No, Daniel, because it's fans of your clubs that get so obsessed with how much is this player worth. No player is worth. Haaland is not worth what Man City paid, right? And no one is worth what they go for. It's not reality. We're not. This is modern football. Like,
I know.
what sense does it say to say Rice is actually worth 30 million, but we want 100? Like,
RRP recommended retail price.
Yeah.
Where is the benefit to doing that? Because players don't go for that, what they're worth. They
Alright,
go
let's
for
Dan.
what a club's willing to pay and what clubs are willing to let them go for.
Okay, yeah. My
You're not
question,
willing to
yeah,
let
my,
Rice go
let
for
me-
less
let
money.
me- well, you personally, what would be the lowest amount where you would go? That's fair
For Rice.
for Rice.
For me to feel cool, like comfortable, I would say if it's 100 mil,
Yeah,
then yeah, because
that's what I
like,
wanted to hear. That's fine.
yeah,
that's
but
fine.
then people go, oh, West Ham fans actually think Rice is worth 100 million.
No, but
It's like,
I think it's fair enough because I think he is worth
Yeah.
100 million to you.
To West
I
Ham.
don't think
Yeah.
he's worth 100 million to Man United, for example.
Yeah.
But he's worth.
but that's
100
fair
million to
enough. So we ain't got to do a deal then.
you.
innit?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
how it
yeah, yeah.
works.
No, I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you. It's
I
like
still
Villa.
can't. I still can't
It's
believe that
like
Arsenal
Villa-
fans said 35 million for Bowen when
Yeah,
he's
that's
got more.
ridiculous.
He scored
35 million.
more goals than anyone in the Arsenal squad. Got more assists
He's
than anyone in
worth
the
more
Arsenal
than
squad.
that. He's worth more than that
Them
to
man,
Arsenal.
them man, if they had Bukayo Saka, they wouldn't sell for anything less than 50. So why would West Ham sell Bowen, who's done better, for even less than that? Jared Bowen is easily a £50 million footballer, but because he
Yeah,
doesn't
Arsenal
have the
fans, put your
source,
Saka valuations in the chat. Like, I want to hear this.
Yeah,
They're going to say 150.
Get
Right.
him
Yeah,
in
they're going to go ridiculous.
get him in the chat. Well, Liverpool are looking to buy him, so we'll see what can happen there. But in terms of the Victor, how is it pronounced? Is it Osimhen or Osimhen?
Osimhen. They don't drag their vowels in.
Osimhen. It's a European thing to have to actually, to be fair,
You won't say Osimhen. It's
It could be Osimhen. It's Osimhen. It's Osimhen.
Osimhen. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I've heard like 6 different pronunciations on the 6 different people's videos. And I'm like, I am so confused. Being dyslexic as well. I'm going to make this easy. We're going to call him Victor. This is going to call him Victor. Like the bid for Victor again. I don't think this is true. Personally, like I can't understand why you would bid 51 million for him when you can get Gabriel Jesus for 10 million pound cheaper. If at the same time you're worried about how much money you're going to spend, it doesn't compute and make any sense. But I do think Arsenal are kind of sitting on the fence with some of these deals. Now, speaking of big money, we are going to get onto the Nunez Haaland debates coming up. So stay with us for that. Make sure the like button is being smashed as well, people. Liverpool fans feel, I don't know what it is with Liverpool fans right now. They seem a little bit upset that people are bantering them because they've spent a lot of money. Simon Jordan has come to the defense gang. They only spend 28 million a year net spend, and they shouldn't be ridiculed for this. It should be left alone, essentially. I don't understand, boys. I don't understand. Like they've got players right now demanding 400 grand a week salaries because, of course, there's money there. These players are being tipped for Ballon d'Or winners. Well, Mane was earlier on the season. Is it right that Liverpool get bantered for spending money? And at the same time, why are Liverpool fans so emotional about this?
Don't even. We sit there before every single season with this list of targets that all our fans want, and then we don't get them. It's FSG out, they don't spend money. Well, we are at a level now where you have to spend to compete with Manchester City. We should be proud that we're spending money because that's what the big clubs do. This is the level we're at. I don't know why we still want to be that, we only spent £40 million and developed them. Because if we keep on doing that, we're going to waste the best years of the best manager we will have for at least 20 years because we were, look, we don't want to actually spend the 60. We'll just spend 30 and then let them develop. No, it's not our money. I don't care how much the club spend. We only held on to it because it was a point scoring system over Man City. Yeah, they beat us to the title, but we spent so little, so it doesn't matter. I wouldn't care how much we spend. You spend what you need to win because that's what football is about. It just confused me. I don't know why we're so defensive over it.
For me, for Liverpool fans, it's that get out of jail free card when you don't win a league or something like that. You can go back to we didn't spend this on like Man City did. It's your own little way of defending your shortcomings in challenging for a title. Whereas I think if you do spend the money, I mean, for me, that whole thing with Liverpool went out the window when you spend 70, 75 million on Van Dijk. You proved that you'll spend the big money for a quality player. So for Liverpool fans to now start saying, oh, we don't spend this and net spend for me is just stupid because it doesn't take into account the asset that a player brings in who's leaving, like shirt sales sponsors, sponsorship money and everything like that. You lose a lot more than just the fee of the person going out. You lose everything with it. With a new person coming in, you don't get as much back in return. So net spend for me is just a fallacy.
That's why even when you even the word net, it's annoying. Like even when you go to someone says, "Oh, who's richer between da di da and da di da?" Then the first thing people type on Google is the net worth of da di da di da. Like that's not how much they're actually worth. Like, do you know what I mean? There's so much that goes into that kind of stuff. I think people just need to again overcomplicate like conversations that are genuinely boring and like. What is even the point of having this conversation of the net spend or how like we just watched and maybe it's a different model and people don't like it and people say Chelsea ruin football or whatever, but like you spend money to be successful. It's simple. Like, and if you get it right, you can have long-term success. If you don't, then you won't. Like it's as simple as Liverpool spending the money right, and Liverpool fans should even be excited. I would, as much as I have reservations about Nunez, I could just point to the fact that like every player who's got potential, Klopp has been able to mold into a certain type of player and has been able to be successful. Yeah, fair enough. He's a different type of player to the ones we've seen Klopp buy in the past, but why is there there's so much focus on the price? You think everyone seems to attach me to Lukaku now, so I just got to own that. You think if Lukaku didn't win the top goal scorer this season, anyone would be talking about his price? Or if he won the league and scored 20 league goals, you think anyone would be talking? I even say to you, Nietzsche, and everyone on the panel, even if he didn't score in every single big game this season, so that's what 10 games? About that, yeah. About 10 games, but he still scored 25 league goals. I will not complain about his price.
You wouldn't.
You wouldn't. You just wouldn't.
But because that's what you were buying, to be honest.
Exactly. Do you know what I'm saying? So price goes out the window when the person comes onto the pitch and performs.
And I'm seeing all this stuff as well about, we're paying only 68 million up front and we're selling Mane and Minamino, and then it actually only equates to about 87%. Every other club sells players and buys players. That's just how transfer windows work. Just because our club push it more doesn't mean we're any different. We still would have bought Nunez if Mane was staying. That's the thing. It's not like, Mane's going, so we're going to do this. Nunez is obviously a main target for the club. We were always going to spend this amount of money. What doesn't help this Liverpool net spend stuff is when our journalists come out and start going, we're going to back up, we're going to write articles and we're going to push how much they're paying up front, not include the wages, not include the bonuses. But then it's double standards because when Haaland signed, it was, they're only paying 57, but when you look at the wages and the add-ons and everything, it actually equates to over 100 million. It's double standards. We should be happy that we're spending money because we are at a level where you need to. It shows the club are willing to compete. They're willing to try and stick to and push on from this level. What we run the risk of is, I see people saying, we'll get Bowen when Salah goes, and then we'll just let Bowen grow into a Salah. It doesn't work like that. We didn't buy Salah to replace Salah. We bought Salah to replace Daniel Sturridge, who had got 5 goals the previous season. The standard wasn't for Mo Salah to go get 32. The standard now is the replacement for Mo Salah has to be getting 25, 30 a season. You don't get 25, 30 a season for 30 million anymore. It doesn't happen.
Sorry, Terry, can I just quickly say?
Yeah, go on, of course, Ken. Yeah, of course.
I don't understand. You know what? Really, I don't understand. Football fandom has changed a lot. Selling Mane and getting Darwin Nunez is not good business. And I say that in the sense of when I'm talking about financially, the best players keep their best players and add on top of it. Liverpool have not won by selling Mane and buying Nunez. You win by keeping Mane and buying Darwin Nunez. When we sold Cristiano Ronaldo in 2009 for 80 million, none of my friends who are non-Man United fans called me and said, you can really spend that money and bring in Antonio Valencia and Michael Owen and all that, Alex Butner, and I don't think maybe Shinji Kagawa came off. Like, nobody cared about that. It was, you've lost your best player. you're in the mud. That was the banter. That was the argument. And I agree. I don't care who we bought. I wanted to keep Cristiano Ronaldo. Now I knew we couldn't keep him for whatever the reason, but it's not a win by replacing your best players with players who may be good in the future, but as it stands right now, are not as good. City bought Haaland. They don't have to sell Sterling and have to sell Grealish or Bernardo Silva. It's up to them. If they want to, that's how you stay at the top. I'm not saying Liverpool do it. It's well done, but it's not a win to sell your best players.
I agree. I agree. This is when my bugbear with net spend started to come up. Ever before I spoke to one of these financial experts, I said that clubs don't really use net spend internally. And I know that there's a super chat here, and we'll always show them that says all of you are right, ex-club owner is wrong. Look, no one challenged Simon Jordan on it. I bet if you sat there in a room with Simon Jordan and asked him the question, when you guys are weighing up how much money you can afford to spend on transfers, do you just look at net spend, or do you factor in contracts, agents, bonus fees? If the team's successful with how much you spent so far and they're all paid out their bonuses, can you afford it? All these things factor in, and he would 100% say that's right. So the net spend as the only measure is wrong. Net spend in terms of what you spent and what you generated in on players in a basic format, of course, exists, but it's when people use it as the overriding factor that we've done good business. But Nick's pulls on an even better point. When you actually look at Liverpool net spend, by the way, the calculations on Transfer Market, where I got them from the first summer of Jurgen Klopp, actually average it out at 36 million net spend, like minus 36 every summer. But I'm not really worried about arguing over the semantics of that. It says on this website that Liverpool spent £623 million on players and sold £366 million worth of players. Now, we all know that £150 million of that 300 was one player, as an example. So that kind of skews the figures a little bit around that. But the reason I've never understood it is based on what Neeks has said. You only have good net spend if your club fails to invest, or if your best players want to leave or are sold. I never understand why that is something to celebrate, as an example. It's never been something that I've wanted, that I celebrate, and something that I think is something I don't think is particularly good. On top of that, though, aside from it, Liverpool, you're getting criticised because your rivals were a little bit shook. You're signing a very good goal scorer. You're signing somebody that can make you win more titles. So, of course, they're going to banter you. Equally, you as Liverpool fans have been doing this since I can remember. You will always try to delegitimize somebody's achievements. Fergie bought the league. Fergie paid the refs. You would never just say Fergie had the best teams. You just do it. It's part of football. Liverpool fans, listen, Simon Jordan was right in a lot of the things that he said today. He's absolutely right. But I don't understand why we're slamming football fans for having a jokey pop at a rival club for spending money, when the manager of that club and those fans for years have kind of celebrated not spending money. Of course, when you start spending it in large sums, people are going to come for you. It's a bit like Goldbridge. Of course, he was going to get cooked by some people online when he took a job at TalkSport, because there was multiple tweets where he said it's the worst place in the world. It'd never worked there. He hates the place. So, of course, you're going to get kind of stick for it. It's just normal. The bit for me that I find mad is how Liverpool fans are so surprised that they're receiving the same type of banter that they give out, brilliantly, by the way, every single day. That's the bit for me that I find a little bit insulting in terms of my intelligence, is why is this even a debate? The most successful teams over a prolonged period of time very rarely have good net spend. And then when you look at net spend, people have been very, very clever. If you look at the net spend from the year after the Coutinho sale, it's not as good as it. Before that sale, it's great. And I remember doing that. I used to celebrate net spend in the same way. And whenever I was talking about Man United net spend, I had to work it out from the summer of 2009. Because from the summer of 2009 until 2013, our net spend was brilliant. Because we got 90 million for Ronaldo. We never spent it all. It was, we won the league twice. And our net spend was like zero. And then I look back at it now and I think, well, I wish our net spend was minus 200 million, because we'd have won the league all because we were so close all those other years. If we'd have actually spent the money, we'd have won the league. Probably we got beat by Chelsea by a point to the league, and then we got beat on goal difference by Man City. If we'd have actually invested that Ronaldo money right and gone and bought the right quality of players, we could have won 4 or 5 on the bounce. So for me, it's nothing to celebrate when you're.
They should be using it to hold their owners accountable in a way. That's what we do. Whenever we, don't spend, we go, well, look, we've sold this much, and you've only spent that much. Like, we know there should be more money there. And Liverpool, like they've been great, you know, in the Klopp era and everything like that. But then, like you say, you know, if they would have spent a bit more and had a much worse net spend, what could have they achieved? Could they have gone on and maybe won that quadruple this season, or could they have won a league, you know, more league titles or more trophies? They have. I don't know why they never go on and spend that bit extra, or build that squad depth, or replace their weakest positions when they need to. Because they've clearly got the money. How can you win the Champions League? How can you win the Premier League? How can you be a brand as big as Liverpool and not have those funds?
I genuinely believe we're the only club that could win the Champions League and then push on by signing Takumi Minamino was their only player. Like, I get this whole net spend love, but all it shows, let's say we went and got Bellingham next summer, who's a big target, £80 million, and then we try to claw the net spend back by selling 4 backups. The squad hasn't actually gotten stronger. It's gotten weaker. That's all that happens. If you get a positive net spend, you don't necessarily improve because you get a stronger first team and a weaker backup.
Spurs are a primary example of that. Over the years, the amount of top players we've sold and not spent and bought like players who we want to develop in 3 or 4 seasons. And then all the time we're going, oh, look, our net spend, it's really good and all that. It's because we were selling our best players like your Berbatovs, Modric's, Bales and all that. And then apart from the Bale, when we spent most of the money, we'd only ever buy people or try and push for our youth system and build back up. And that's so it looked good on paper, but it took away from the team and it set us back year after year.
Well, look at the famous thing. Neeks is famous for this. Let's talk about net spend. Let's talk about net spend. Like that video went viral. Neeks, of course, was Neeks Sports that filmed that. It wasn't. A lot of people think it was AFTV. It wasn't. It was Neeks Sports. But again, look, Mo's a good guy. Knows his football. I watch a lot of his content. Great guy. But Arsenal fans celebrated having great net spend in the whole 15-year lead up from them last winning a league title until Wenger was sacked. It might be less than 15, might be more than 15. I don't remember the exact dates, but they celebrated it like it was a badge of honor. Look what we're doing with with good net spend. But that's the point. You did nothing. And I would say this to Liverpool fans. It's not about not celebrating what you've achieved. It's about demanding more. The fact that you've spent 77, and it is 77 million because the first 2 clauses are essentially for the player to reach 10 and then 60 appearances. He'll pretty much, if Liverpool is successful, he'll almost do that year 1, right? So he's going to cost about 77 million minimum. That will make him the 5th highest transfer in Premier League history. Be proud that your club is able to attract top talent over your major rivals, is challenging for titles, is generating money, and is willing to spend it. It's what every single club in England strives for. I just find it mad that everyone's trying to defend it and find a little loophole to why it isn't really as much money. It's like your wage bill. When Liverpool's wage bill increased after the bonuses of winning the league, it became one of the highest wage bills in England. Yeah, that's only because we won the league, though. But you want to win the league every year, don't you? Yes. Well, therefore, you'll have the biggest wage bill every year. It's celebrate it. It's not why honestly, it doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Pac-Man here says that this net spend talk is nonsense. It doesn't matter where the money comes from. The players they have are worth what they are worth, whether the money comes from the owners or from Klopp's wife's bake sale. I hear you on that. I hear you on that, my friend. Just spend your money. Speaking Terry waffling at Liverpool because someone defended Liverpool. I'm on Liverpool's side here. I'm saying like Liverpool are not wrong for spending. They're right for spending. I'm just saying their fans should embrace it and celebrate it instead of trying to defend it. It's not a dig at Liverpool. It's actually saying well done for spending your money. Because if you didn't and you went out and bought some obscure 18-year-old no one's heard of for £18 million, for me, you're handing the title over straight away. You got a chance winning it here. Now, speaking of that title, I saw an article today detailing the minutes played last season, the goals scored, expected goals, minutes per goal, shots per 90 minutes, conversion rate, and the assist levels. And Darwin Nunez, in many metrics last season, completely outperformed Erling Haaland. So the big question is, who's going to do better in the Premier League next year, boys? Haaland or Darwin Nunez?
I mean, you get what you pay for. We've paid more, so we get the better player. That's how it works. I mean, obviously, I'm going to back Nunez, but I do think there's something there to unlock with Nunez. Benfica didn't cross the ball in at all. He's got one of the best aerial duel percentages against centre-backs in the league. He's brilliant with his head, but he didn't cross it in enough. He's going to have Trent and Robertson, two of the best crossers in the league, putting balls in all game. And he can actually... I'm so happy. We've got someone that when we are drawing with 10 minutes to go and we panic and we just start lumping balls into the box, we're going to have someone that can challenge the centre-backs and win the first ball, which is what we need. Erling Haaland is obviously the better player. If you were to give me the option of two, I'm taking Erling Haaland. I'm taking someone who is already one of the best in the world in his position. But Darwin Nunez, for the skill set he's got, I think he's got a real chance of outperforming Haaland, injuries dependent. If both of them stay fit for 38 games, I'm not deluded. Erling Haaland is outscoring Nunez every day of the week if they both stay fit. But that's what you've got to bring into these. Darwin Nunez was injury-free for the past 2 years, I think. Erling Haaland had, 13 in the last 4? And they're all similar types. I mean, I'm hoping that he works out, and I do think that the crosses from Trent and Robertson will unlock something new. But it's very injury dependent on him outperforming Haaland because Haaland's just a better player.
For me, it's both of so they're going to bring something different to the team that they're in. So Man City are all like pass, tiki-taka and stuff like that, pass and move. Now they've got a physical presence up front that they haven't had for some time, like a physical presence that's going to cause problems. And now, like Tom said, you've got Robertson and Alexander-Arnold that whip balls into the middle. And although Jota can head, more often than not, although they put good balls in, defenders are like, I don't think I've got anyone challenging me because Liverpool don't have that presence. Now you do. Now you have somebody who will be in there causing the problems and having defenders guess themselves. For me, if you go by the player who you believe or who comes in more credible, it's going to be Haaland. I think it's whatever the player adapts to the team that they're in. And for me, for what I see, I think it could be Nunez who shocks people and outperforms Haaland this first season because I think they're going to be playing right into his hands in the way that Liverpool set up with the wing backs crossing in balls. You're going to have assistance with Salah and Diaz also dropping into the midfield to link up as well. They've got different across the board where you just got Haaland, not as a man, but you kind of know how City play. Like I said, Haaland's going to be that difference in that he's going to be physical, what people are not aware of it, well, are not used to for Man City. I think Nunez will have the better first season, but I'm not saying Haaland's rubbish before people go, oh, you're saying Nunez is better than Haaland. I know exactly what the comments are like. I think Nunez will have better first season.
Well, I said it last week already that I think Nunez will score more league goals than Haaland next season. And I think, the adaptability is one of the reasons why I say that. I think we've seen the time it takes. We know Klopp does it with some players. It takes a little while before he actually puts them in the team. Pep put some of the players in the team and you see them struggle at first, actually trying to get to grips with exactly what he wants to do. There's not many teams that play the way that Man City and Pep has liked to play since he's come into football. So it wouldn't surprise me if you're going to have a blend of Haaland getting used to City style of play and also City getting used to Haaland. I don't think it's a coincidence that Aguero's he has never won the Golden Boot under Pep Guardiola. Aguero for me, obviously we have to see what Haaland does, but Aguero for me was the best striker in the world at one point. I think he was absolutely brilliant, lethal in front of goal, but he would never won the Golden Boot under Pep Guardiola. And that's not because Aguero is not a great striker. He's arguably, some say the best, in terms of finishing goal scoring, the best that the Premier League has ever seen in the period that he was here. But so I think Haaland's going to have to adapt. They're going to have to adapt to him. And we also know Pep roulette, as they call it, the way that he just always rotating the team. Haaland may not even play as many games as Nunez, just for the fact that Man City have so many options. We know they're always in every competition and generally going deep. So I think when you add all of that together, I think the transition for Haaland's going to be a bit slower than for Nunez. Nunez will go straight in and through the middle, and I can see him just being one of the first names on the team sheet next season. It
is something interesting now, both Liverpool and Man City, who for the past, City especially last year as well, but Liverpool for the past 2 or 3 years under Jurgen Klopp have been playing false nines, have both in the same transfer window completely changed the style of striker that they're going for and went from a false nine who is the main creator in the team to a big man who isn't as creative but is a presence in the box. I think it's a sign of the change. And I don't think there will be an issue for Haaland to adapt. because he's just naturally that good. For what his quality is, he won't struggle. It's just whether he can. I don't know how much link up they're going to want to do. I'm not expecting Darwin Nunez to have to do much link up in this Liverpool team. It's certainly not to the level that Roberto Firmino had to, where he was dropping in, playing back passes to the midfield and the attack. Darwin Nunez is going to be told, stand on the last line, run in behind. We're going to have Trent sending it over the top. We're going to have Salah playing it in behind. Be there. I still think Pep might want Haaland to get involved in the build-up play a lot more than what we want Nunez to do.
I don't know. I think both are going to change their style, and they have to. I mean, it's been, again, football hipsters. A lot of them passed away over the course of the last few months of the season, where mentality outshone ability consistently in the Champions League, and they all just scurried off into the darkness, really. And the same thing's going to do this to them here. Football's changed. Traditional number 9s will never be part of the teams anymore. This has changed. We'll never go back. Football has been a cycle forever. People think that like formations were invented in 2009 by Pep Guardiola. They weren't. Like, these things have been happening in football for over 100 years. If you only got to look at the reason why the Busby Babes were so loved across this country. They brought a style of football that the nation had never seen. That the brilliant Hungary team that included I always pronounce his name wrong, Puskas. The way they started playing football, started battering everybody. Nobody had ever seen it before. This things happen all the time, and it does not surprise me that Liverpool and City are going to change their style slightly. They're going to go to a traditional number 9s as opposed to kind of false 9, because you've got to. If you keep playing the same way year in, year out, you will eventually get the team will get stale. The players will get a bit bored of doing it. Secondly, you're easier to work out. That all being said, Darwin Nunez, very good signing. For me, Haaland's breaking records in this Man City team. He is going to score so many. I just think he's a phenom. He is the best goal-scoring striker for his age that we've had since R9. No striker at his age and his point across European football in the Champions League has scored with the quality and frequency of him since R9, in my opinion. He's the best since. And he's moving into a team that creates chances, always has the ball. It's going to be ridiculous. I honestly can see him breaking Mo Salah's goal scoring record next year. I really, really can.
Whoa!
I can see. And if he starts well, he'll break it. If we're talking 4 or 5 goals in the first few games, he'll break that record because he is a machine.
When you look how many chances Man City were at, a lot of games were wasting last season. The amount of chances they create. If they have someone with more clinical, in front of goal and can take advantage of those chances, then boy, if he can do that, like you said, yeah, I could see that for real being true. Like Nunez, the only reason I think Nunez is going to smash it is just because we tried to sign him in January, and that's just going to, be that, if only we just paid that extra 15 mil. Why didn't we pay the extra 15? But yeah, I think
25 million Brighton could have got him for last summer, and they scoffed on it. They don't have a finisher. I'm at 25 million. I know, it's crazy. It's crazy. Haaland will unlock Grealish, plus we will see the new Foden and KDB, whilst Nunez will unlock lockers. It would be funny, though, if one of them or both of them... Like, do you remember how Man United and Chelsea fans and Arsenal, the Lacazette, Lukaku, Morata debate? It'd be funny if it happened again. And in 2 years' time, they're being sold for like for £30 million each to some obscure German team.
Oh, mate, them debates always kill me. They're like the only debates where everyone lost, everyone loses. It's like the Oli Arteta Lampard debate. Everyone lost. Everyone lost. There was no winner in the Lukaku, Lacazette, Morata one.
Literally.
Grealish needs to stay on the bench next season.
What's funny, Tom? I think actually Arsenal lost both of them because they lost Lukaku Lacazette for free. At least Chelsea and Man United got a fee for their strikers, and they've still got Arteta. Like, we've moved on.
I know we kind of moved on from Arsenal, but like next year's going to be, if they don't spend that much this year, if they don't bring in the signings, and I mean this with respect, and they've got Arteta, they're doomed because I'm going to put, I've said it also, I'm going to put Ten Hag aside. I rate him as a coach, but the other 4 in the top 6, their managers alone are worth 15 points a season to their teams. So I almost feel like when you've got managers that good, you're starting behind them by like 10, 15 points because they're going to win those for their teams. It's such a hard task. Like they've got to go really big. GB here says Julian Alvarez will have more of an impact than both.
Well, no.
I don't know. New countries. It's difficult. It's very difficult. Like, I don't think people understand how hard it is to adapt to the Premier League. Listen, I haven't played Premier League football. I'm not talking from experience, but I'm talking from players' experience. When they talk about the difference in the Premier League compared to other leagues, I think Salah even being in the Premier League before and not working out gave him a little one-up when he came back. Like to just hit the ground.
You knew what to expect then.
Yeah, the training's different as well. The player, like you knew what to expect. The pace of the game. He had 6 months where it didn't work and he came back. So I just think to the expectation that we're going to have on Nunez and Haaland and maybe Julian Alvarez, which is expected because of their price tag, don't be surprised if next year you probably get half the output that they're capable of, and then the season after is where they really fire.
I think the X factor is that they've both got elite coaches like in Klopp and Pep though, that are able to improve their games, not just go and take them and go, right, what you were at your previous clubs, we're trying to add that. I think both of them will be better players under their managers.
Definitely.
That is a ridiculous claim. That is an absolutely ridiculous claim. You're telling me Gabriel Jesus from Manchester City, who create about 7 chances a game for him, to Arsenal, who create about 2.
The fan base is just so deluded. It really is.
Arsenal, you know what kills me?
So deluded.
Their strikers. I remember when they spent 57 and 49 on Lacazette, the £100 million strike force. This is it. All they've managed to do is be a money sink, not actually take them to any further than they got. They've actually regressed behind them, and they lost them for free. Like I don't get where the faith is. It just confuses me. Because he's not good enough to play an entire season as an
exactly.
They don't play him there because he can't do it.
Exactly.
It's because of the Pep link. They're still going on about that Pep link because Pep had him and all that. Look, the Arsenal fan base they've got into. What I don't understand about the Arsenal fan base is that now they're always saying about we need to get back to fourth, as if that's where they were, but like years and years ago. They're happy to get back to fourth, and they think that's an achievement when you were winning leagues and winning doubles and stuff like that over 20 plus years ago. It's embarrassing how you think that Jesus is going to be the one that gets you back to. It's just long way to continue because I'm just here enjoying the downfall of Arsenal Football Club. It's brilliant.
Honestly,
it really is. Kane, sorry, just a little back. Kane scoring more than Haaland and Nunez next season anyway. So
Ronaldo,
neither of them winning the Golden Boot.
Ronaldo. Ten Hag's new system, nice football. Ronaldo, top goal scorer.
You know what?
Not even that, Nick. So I'll one up you. Kulusevski's probably going to score more than most of the Arsenal team next season. Simple as.
Oh. Do you know who got ignored? I saw a few Spurs fans getting annoyed that I think ESPN did a thing. Who's going to be the top goal scorer? And like Son's name wasn't on there. They're like, where's Son? Yeah. In fairness, Son's. I love what Son's dad said. Son's dad today said Spurs are a shit club, didn't he? Did you see it? He was just like, It's funny because I agree with his dad's mentality. His dad's mentality is you never know how good you are until you're at a team that's competing for the trophies, winning those trophies. I don't think it's why one of the reasons why I saw that Curtis Woodhouse. I know he's an ex-boxer, so I'm not going to get too mathy, but talking about how Scholes weren't that good because he didn't get any Ballon d'Or nominations. And it's like, listen, man, when you're playing in a midfield, challenging for all the titles every single season, and you've delivered in the vast majority of them seasons, that's why you're one of the best, you know. And it's not winning the prizes and winning this or like everyone voting for you on something. It's about what you deliver. And when Karim Benzema proved it this year. Like when it comes down to those moments, those games when you're needed, they're the best players. And you can't do that unless you're in a team that's regularly in those positions. You can't prove you're at that level when you only, like Harry Kane, God bless him, every now and then he's in a final. If he was playing for a Chelsea in the last couple of years, look how many semis and finals he'd have been in. Look, Liverpool, how many semis and finals, City. Then you really work out how good or bad these individuals are. When the man's had 2 finals in his whole career, 2 or 3 semi-finals in his whole career, it's hard to actually judge the standards. If Spurs get an additional 6 signings, which Conte wants, Spurs finish ahead of Liverpool. Since Conte is better than Klopp, who is overrated, being called top 2.
So all Tottenham need is half a new squad, and then they might finish above us. Fair enough.
No, I don't agree with that. To this, I agree. If Conte gets in who he wants, then I think we'll jump Chelsea. I think we'll be the ones closest to Liverpool, Man City. Not saying we'll be right on them before comments go wild, but we'll be the closest to them. We'll be clear of Man United. We'll be clear of Arsenal, and we'll jump above Chelsea this season if Conte gets the signings he wants. I think we'll be third comfortably, not second.
Sure. You will be fans if Conte gets who he wants. You'll be fantastic, but I still don't think a midfield of Bentancur and whoever, and a defense. I don't know who you're targeting. The only thing that I would back in that Tottenham team right now is your attack. If you had an attack, if your defensive midfield was at a similar level to your attack, I would agree, but it will not be.
So what's happening at this moment is Conte's main focus is defence, which he's trying to sort out. If he can get that sorted, because as you can see, what he done with that defence compared to the end of last season got us over the line the fourth as well. So if he can improve on that and do what he does with a defence, he also normally favours a 3-5-2. We play a 3-4-3. So two in the midfield. The idea is to get Christian Eriksen there. Christian Eriksen in, from what I can see, so that he can go between the two, 3-4-3 and 3-5-2, to have that extra man for the creative, which we don't have. So that's an option which they're looking at. And if he gets that, I still think you need to improve on Højbjerg. That's me. I think Bentancur's done a good job. I think he needs to improve on Højbjerg and have like the person that does Højbjerg's job, but much better than him. And I think that will improve the midfield. I think that will get us even closer to you guys. Not saying we're going to be within 5 points or anything like that, but it will get us even a couple. But that's the idea, what they're trying to do at the moment. And if we can do it, then we'll have options, especially when you've got 5 subs next season. You need to have a more in-depth squad, which we haven't, because last season people were saying Antony Conte looking at the bench going, who'd I bring on? Because we didn't have that. We need to get that bench.
Why are we not hearing about depth for Kane and Son, though? That's the main. I haven't heard any links or anything about depth, because you're in the Champions League, so you're going to have to play a stronger team in both the Champions League and the Prem. So surely you've got to get depth there.
So there are links to strikers. I mean, with like the Richarlison thing is well over like the amount. As a backup, I don't think he's a bad backup choice to have, but to about 50 million, I think is way too much for him.
Exactly.
I think
So
that's
how
too
much
much
you think for Richarlison? He's a Brazilian international. What are you talking about?
No,
you're not paying that for a backup.
You're not paying that for a backup. So
We'll
if we
start
can't,
him then, isn't it?
yeah. But if we can't, shut up. If we can't, don't insult me, Neeks. No, if you can't get him as backup for the right money, then you get another backup. But it's like I've said, I've always said that we need to get a backup for Harry Kane. You've still got Lucas Moura there as a winger. I think another winger is needed.
We have Moura.
Yeah, Lucas Moura is still there. He's going to stay. Bergwijn's going, which I think is the right thing to do for both him and us, because he's not going to play. So there's still things to do.
It's going to be. Look, it's going to be for me. I think in terms of predictions, who's coming where, barring who's winning the league, which I still think is between 2 teams. I don't think it's too hard to predict right now. We need to see who signs who comes in, and everything else. A few people predict Liverpool coming fourth. Liverpool will implode from inside next season.
My God, where have you got this from? Where's this idea come from?
Again, wishful thinking. Like
it is, but it would be funny if it happens after you break in like these records and buying big players.
Yeah,
like,
we go out, buy a new right centre mid, a new striker, cover all the positions, and then we finish 4-4. So that would be typical. That would be typical.
The only way you could end up coming fourth is if Spurs and Chelsea throw their names in, improve to a point where they're on yours and City's level, and like the team that wins the league's on 93 points, and then you're all on 92s and 91s. Like that's the only way I can see it. Other than that, like then no, like Liverpool and City top 2.
The thing is, it's wishful thinking we'll fall off. Bear in mind, we spent half a season with no centre backs and still got third ahead of Chelsea, Tottenham, and Arsenal. We were just like, I think it was 3 or 4 points behind the best United performance since whenever. Like that's 2 inches. Yes, every team is. If Tottenham lose Harry Kane and Heung-min Son, therefore
I clocked my fastest ever time running 100 meters. I think I was about 2.5 seconds behind the world record. Do you know what I mean? But there we go, 2.5 seconds away from beating faster than Usain Bolt.
It's stupid.
Maybe
the
3.5.
only team
I don't know.
That can survive 2 injuries is Man City.
3
That's
seconds.
it.
12.9 pretty quick though. You know, I was happy with that as a kid. It's not bad.
The only team that could survive 2 major injuries is City.
It's not bad. It's not. By the way,
slower than me, but you know.
No, I was about to say I didn't even make the school team to go district. My goes mad. I was in primary school. I won Remember in year 6, I won 100 meters. Me and my best mate would come joint first. Went in high school thinking I was pretty quick. Fuck me. So, no, bruv. I weren't. I was top 10. That was it. I'm pretty quick. GB here says, if Pogba goes to Juve, then Winston McKennie goes to Spurs. Pau Torres swap for Lo Celso. The wing backs are the main issue. I mean, yeah, look, a lot of if buts and maybes in there, but Spurs are looking to do some good business so far. They've just signed that pension.
How much would you have to pay with Lo Celso?
Pensioner.
How much would you have to pay on top of Lo Celso to get Pau Torres?
I think it's going to be about 25, 30.
Wasn't
Lo Celso that much?
Wasn't Lo Celso like a £50 million signing?
Yeah, he had 2 good performances, and that was it in the FA Cup. He's not really done much. Oh, wow, a good assist when we beat Man City 2-0 under Mourinho. A good assist. Apart from that, he's done nothing. He's just not good.
Nunez is a panic buy. Pay Mane and Salah instead.
Mane doesn't want to stay. I don't care. I don't care.
He does 400 grand a week.
Oh, mate, don't get me started. A, he's not worth 400 grand a week. And B, he doesn't want to stay.
But you lot said he's the best player in the world. Of course he is.
I never said that.
You said he should win the Ballon d'Or. You said he should win the Ballon d'Or. I know, I'm just putting you and Liverpool fans all in the same box.
Mate, I'm not having that.
Easiest way to do it.
Honestly, like, I don't get where this upset. Sadio Mane, if we compare the last 3 years, let's go for the last 3 years since Sadio Mane signed his new contract right before 18-19. Sadio Mane's had 2.5 out of 4 or 5 good years. Like, either 2.5 out of 4 or 3.5 out of 5 good years. Mo Salah's had 5 good years. So I'm going to prioritise giving the person who didn't fall off for 18 months when we needed them most. That's the one who gets the money. Sadio Mane was actually quite poor this season up until February when he won AFCON and then he decided to turn it on. Salah, yes, there was a drop-off where he went from 16 goals and 8 assists to, I think it ended up being something like 6 goals, 8 assists to end the season. A major drop-off. We should be selling him. I can't believe he's went from 21 goal contributions to 11 in a shorter period of time.
If you gave him 400k, that would start a chain reaction, I think, in your squad of all these other players going, he's on 400k. You need to be giving me a serious bump up, and your wage structure all of a sudden goes out.
Which is the only thing I will give FSG credit for, was we capitalised on a dodgy season. We've got Trent, Robertson, Alisson, Fabinho, Van Dijk, all key players who last summer signed a new contract. So they can't be expecting a new contract till at the earliest next summer. So if we start paying Salah now, we've got another year to prepare, or at least another year to prepare. We didn't have that same benefit with Salah. Salah didn't have a bad season to fall back on. We can't sit there with Mo Salah and go, yeah, you only got 25 goals, so you're actually only worth this much. Like, it doesn't work that way. With Mo Salah, we're not going to get a better player to replace him. We just have to pay him what.
Is that thing right with what I've seen about like Liverpool's wages per week, and Mane's on less than players like Keita and stuff like that?
I don't think the Mane one's true, but say like Luis Diaz is on 50 grand a week.
I'm pretty sure, like I saw that, and it was, I can't remember who I saw it was.
Mane's original contract was 100 grand a week, but he signed a new, people forget he signed a new one right after the Champions League final loss.
Yeah. I think it was 180 or so.
Okay. So I was going to say, if he was paid under, then others, you can see why.
If he was on 100 grand a week, I wouldn't blame him. But him, Firmino, and Salah all signed new contracts in the same summer, so they all end up on the same wages. But for some reason, they just forgot to update the Sadio Mane one.
You see the way I see it? I think this Liverpool getting rid of or not giving Mane 400 and signing Nunez is a thing that we can only judge in hindsight whether it's good. As in, does Liverpool's level drop? If it drops because you've got Nunez instead of Mane, then for me that's a problem, because you're trying to keep the level or improve it. If you stay around the same level, you say, all right, fair enough. We got this player for much longer. For me, Mane deserves 400 grand a week or whatever. And I'm not saying he deserves it from Liverpool, but for what he's produced over the last 4 years in Premier League football, Champions League football, international football, he deserves to get that where he can. And Bayern Munich are willing to pay it. So for me, if he's happy to go over there and Bayern Munich willing to pay it, go and do it. And the same with Salah. If Salah wants a 400 and Liverpool are not willing, then find someone who's willing to pay you that. because both of them are what have been world class for the majority of the last 4 or 5 years.
Great points, no doubt. Viewers, listen, I really appreciate you all coming on and having your say. The super chat actually says Mane is not worth 400k, but Nunez is worth 80 million.
Right. Do we need to do this? Darwin Nunez is 21. Sadio Mane is 30. So I don't want to give Sadio Mane 4 years on 400 grand a week when I've got the potential of not potential. There's going to be a fall off. Sadio Mane is not going to stay as good physically when he's 34. Darwin Nunez is only going to get better from 21. So it's just, it blows my mind how people think like that. Honestly, it does.
There we go. Viewers, thank you very much for tuning in. Please make sure you smash the like button before you leave. We're back tomorrow. Ben Jacobs on the Football Terrace. So looking forward to it. Listen, everybody, until next time, take care. Goodbye.